Hello there, it's George Hoge here again with another Business English Conversation video program. Today I'm going to talk about a myth. A myth. The myth of the well-educated manager. That's right. There are a lot of folks, including myself, that agree with that statement. Today I'm going to be using a Harvard Business Review as the basis for the discussion here. Now, if you're not familiar with the Harvard Business Review, it's a publication that's owned by Harvard University, which has a pretty good business program. And it's published, I think, 12 times a year. And a lot of people contribute. And they talk about management, operations, leadership, all varieties of things. And most of them, in fact all of them, are supported with some actual studies. Now, the myth of the well-educated manager is a study that was done by a guy by the name of J. Sterling Livingston. This is the article. I'm sure you can't read it, but that's the article. So let me tell you what Mr. Livingston came up with. Basically, he found that there is no direct relationship between performance in school or training programs and records of success in management. In other words, the folks that get the good grades in management school don't necessarily succeed well in actual management. Now, he attributes this to the inability of schools to develop the traits, the knowledge, and the skills that are essential to career success and leadership. Point he makes is that degrees do not predict how effectively a manager will perform on the job. Managers are not likely to advance far unless they acquire knowledge and skills that are needed through their own experience. Mr. Livingston says that much of management education is in fact miseducation, because it arrests and distorts the ability of managerial aspirants to grow as they gain experience. Some interesting thoughts, huh? Really? All these degrees don't necessarily mean that you're going to be a good manager. Well, don't get excited. There's good news on the horizon. Livingston did a study, a 15-year study of business experience, people with business experience and no formal education, and found that 1/3 of those, found that the regular people who had no formal education in business management earned 1/3 more than those people that were holding an MBA, Master's in Business Administration. Without a degree, experienced managers made 1/3 more than the MBA graduates. Those who get to the top management levels develop skills that are not taught in formal management education programs. So what's the problem here? I mean, we go to get these degrees, particularly in management, business, and this study says that maybe it's not going to do us that much good. Well, that's not true, and don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I have an MBA, and I got it for the express purpose of being a better manager, a better business person. And yes, it's helped a great deal. But experience has done a lot too. In fact, when I got my management MBA, I had already had a lot of experience. So what else? What is he saying here? Basically, what he's telling us is that management schools use unrealistic or unreliable yardsticks in their education programs, because the grades don't necessarily equate to individual performance. Top grades do not necessarily mean top performance. In fact, he found that the route to the top is held by just as many or more who graduated in the lower 1/3 of their class. Those so-called average students do well in management. Some of them. So what is it that they're not learning? What is it we're not learning in management school? Well, I didn't need Mr. Livingston to tell me this, because I've known this forever. Academic ability does not assure learning the proper management skills. And the key skills that you do not learn in management school are leading, changing, developing, and working with people. You can't teach that stuff. You have to experience it. You have to feel it. You have to go through it. He studied a company here in the United States. It was a large manufacturing company who decided to implement what they called a high-risk, high-reward program. And here was the deal. These top management graduates, top MBAs, would come to work for this company, and they'd be guided and assessed and developed, and their performance would be evaluated by some trained supervisors. Okay? The high reward. They were guaranteed a promotion rate twice what the company was already using. In other words, if they performed successfully during their first 2 years, they would be on an accelerated promotion program. The high risk, if they failed to qualify, they were fired, terminated, out of the business. High risk, high reward. So what happened? At the end of 5 years, 67%, 2/3, 2 out of every 3 people who went into this program had either voluntarily left the company, or they were fired. Terminated was the word he used, but fired. Because the ones that were fired, obviously, were the ones that didn't qualify, didn't meet the expectations or the qualifications. What does this prove? Well, it proves that it's very difficult to transition from the academic world to the real world of business and the real world of management. The attrition rate of the higher performing, higher educated people in this study that he did is much, much higher than regular blue-collar workers. And in fact, the attrition rate is highest from people who went to the so-called better business schools. So what does all this mean? Well, what it means is experience counts. Experience is valuable. And that's what I'm here for, and that's what AJ is here for, to help you with that experience, to help with some suggestions, some ideas of things you can do to increase the speed of your experience learning. And this program is one of them. And you know, those of you who have an MBA degree, super. Those that you're working on a business degree or an MBA or any kind of a degree, I don't care what it is, you're on the right track. Somebody sent me a note the other day and asked me if, you know, getting a business degree was going to get them a job. Well, my answer was simple. Getting a business degree is an excellent idea. It's the first step in a long journey. It is not going to guarantee you get a job. And it's not going to guarantee you're going to keep the job. And it's not going to guarantee you're going to succeed in the job. But it's probably going to help get you in the door. Now, I've got some more things to talk about in this study. Get a little more in depth on what are these things that we're not getting in management school. But I'm going to say that for the next, I don't know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 videos. I happen to think this is a great subject. I hope you do too, and I hope you'll sign into our website. I'd certainly love to see you purchase our lessons. But for now, it's goodbye from George Hoge and Business English Conversations. Until our next program.